Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Seaver Show. We are talking post NHL deadline talk here today, breaking down each conference here. Starting with the East, we're going to give you guys kind of one of our biggest movers who really made the biggest progress from trade deadline, and then we'll give a sleeper as well. So, starting in the East, what do you got?
I don't think this is a surprise for really any people who are in hockey, but Boston Bruins adding Dmitry Orlov, Hathaway, and Bertuzzi all before the end of the deadline. All huge pickups. They added two guys that do have a little bit more grit to their game and also do have some skill for their third and fourth lines to match basically and outperform other teams' bottom sixes. And Dmitry Orlov, how about this guy? 8 points in his first 4 games since coming over to Boston. That is the third most all time for an NHL defenseman. Guy's been on a tear. They have had a hiccup recently, but yesterday they got back to it, becoming fastest team to over 100 points. They sit at 103. And just talking more a little bit about the Bruins, they've just looked like the best hockey team I've seen since 2003 Red Wings team that ended up winning the regular season by a landslide, and they did end up going to win the cup. I see this almost as an exact repeat. So that's who I got. It's my wagon out of the East. Who do you got?
Yeah, right underneath them, and these two teams actually squared off on Saturday. Bruins got the win, but the Rangers um, made a couple moves before that deadline as well. Obviously, Patrick Kane, kind of the big talk there, but the one before that, Tarasenko, Vlad Tarasenko, making an impact already with a couple goals in his first couple games over there. Obviously, this team did great things last year, made it to the conference finals. Um, Roster really hasn't changed aside from the guys that they've added. Haven't really lost anybody. So with the pieces that they've acquired, I think that they have a great chance to get back there. So long as they don't run into Boston beforehand, I think them in Boston in the conference finals could be the matchup that we see. But obviously, the road is going to kind of run through Boston, as you alluded to with the success they've had this year. So, yeah, the Rangers kind of a quiet team right now, middle of the pack. Do have some ground to make up, but with those moves that they've made, I think that they've set themselves up to really ramp it up with the last 15, 20 games or so left in the season.
Yeah, I mean, you think Patrick Kane would have made a bigger impact, I think, since being there. He has 0 points so far. And I feel like everybody's like, oh, before he left Chicago, he had 10 points in 4 games.
Right.
And now he's gotten to the Rangers and he's done diddly squat. And they've been having close games. Like the Flyers took him to a shootout.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, you want to see that transition over smoothly from, oh, you're doing this on this team, we expect you to come over and do the same. Um, what line is he on their first line or their second line?
I think he's on their second line. I believe it's Trocheck, Panarin, and Kane.
Okay, yeah. Um, yeah, obviously, and those other two guys you mentioned on that line, obviously a big part of that offense already. So you want to incorporate Kane and build off of his skill set without taking away from Panarin and Trocheck. So it's like when you put together these kind of guys on a team, you obviously think the team will get better. But as you alluded to, Kane hasn't lived up to the hype quite yet in New York. I mean, he should get there. Obviously, there's a lot of time before the playoffs start. But again, they are one of those teams where they can't really have a shit week or two because with how close the East is, they could fall a couple spots very quickly. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of watch them this week in the couple games they play and kind of see if Patrick Kane's able to contribute a little more on the offensive side.
And alluding into what you just said, my sleeper team coming out of the East, Ottawa Senators. They have 62 games played, 68 points, currently 3 points behind Pittsburgh Penguins out of that wild card spot. New York Islanders have been fluttering as of late, as the Rangers. Both New York teams almost seem to be taking a shit at this point. And it's kind of unfortunate because they both have really great goaltending. They both play really tight games, and they are in probably the greatest top six or even conference I've seen almost in my lifetime, as how close these top 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 teams are out of the 16 in the East are still in it. Like, that's
Right.
just crazy at this point in the year. So, Ottawa, their moves that they made, bringing in Chikrin from Arizona Coyotes, I mean, tough for that kid. I mean, he didn't play for 7, 8 games. He was held out by Arizona because he was supposed to be moved. Wasn't moved. Finally got moved. He ended up getting a goal last night, which is pretty awesome. And they ended up getting a W. That's a team that's been heating up as of late. Penalty killing, I want to say, I should have checked the numbers, but if I just going off of what I remember, their broadcaster saying last night, I do believe that they have the top penalty killing unit in all the NHL. And their power play, they have been on a tear as of late. Adding Patrick Brown, they just got him from the Flyers, a tough guy to add into the mix that you're going to need going through the gauntlet. And Gauthier that they just got from the New York Rangers, a guy that really didn't get to play too much and was part of the Patrick Kane having to clear up some space. So he's now going to get to shine a little bit more. I mean, this Ottawa team is really young, and like Claude Giroux, some of the older guys that are stuck on that team. I know somebody that just played for the Rangers they just played the other night and he scored two. Oh, Broussard. He just scored 2 goals against his former team in the Rangers. So it's like 2 guys that haven't really won a cup and have a chance right now on a team that's peaking. So I have the Senators as my sleeper.
Yeah, my sleeper out of the East here, kind of a younger team as well. Pretty low in the East, but nonetheless, like you said, they're with how tight that whole conference is. The Buffalo Sabres, the couple moves that they made, the big one being getting Jordan Greenway from Minnesota, adding him on the offensive side since having to put Tuck on IR. Tage Thompson's kind of stepped up to the plate and he's been on a crazy scoring pace this year, doing a lot of great things. But nonetheless, when you lose your guy on the other side, you need to bring somebody in to replace that. So hopefully Greenway, he was supposed to play yesterday, but due to bad weather, plane couldn't land into Buffalo, so he wasn't able to make his debut on Saturday. So tomorrow when they play, he'll be able to make his Buffalo debut. Only thing that really concerns me with this team, I mean, offensively they're great. Defensive side, you got Luukkonen in the in the net, could be kind of their Achilles heel down the stretch here. Um, haven't been really great goaltending, and with the division they play in, the stretch of games they have playing Boston, Capitals, Rangers. I mean, that whole Metro division is defense heavy. So if that offense isn't able to contribute, this team might stay right where they are, kind of in the bottom five, 5 to 7 teams from the bottom in the East, and maybe miss out at the end. But their offense has done enough for them thus far. With a What was their differential? When I was looking up these teams, or looking up the Sabres, it was kind of funny to see how many goals they've given up, but how many goals they've scored. What are they at here? 229 scored, but 218 given up, which is second most, third most behind the Canadians and Blue Jackets. So the fact that they're still middle of the pack in the East, have a great chance to go on a run here. Hopefully they can kind of figure it out on the defensive side, especially goaltending, because their offense is going to need it down the stretch here against those good defenses that I mentioned.
Yeah, and just one other thing too that probably should have mentioned is like how the Rangers and Tampa built, like they're both at 79 points. The next playoff team Islanders are at 72 with 2 more games played. Pittsburgh's at 71 with 62 games played. So they're still a handful of games. Pittsburgh is reasonably the only team that has a chance to get into the Metro in the top 3 with not being in the wild card. And nobody's catching Tampa in the Atlantic. Buffalo being in the Atlantic, sitting in that 4th spot because of that cushion. It's 11 points already. So I think that's a huge hole that you're
Right.
getting right now, unless Tampa shits the bed, as they have been as of late, and today losing 6-0 against Carolina. I mean, there's, miracles do happen. But based on that, I don't think you're going to make up that much ground in 20 games left that you really have a 6-team race for 2 spots. And they're
Right.
all within 4 points. And they're all within 4 points.
Right. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I knew that the East was tight. I didn't realize it was that tight. Therese said 13 of the 16 teams still pretty much right there in it.
Yeah,
Obviously,
and
only need
and
a
the
little
top
help, but
six are in the top six are basically in for how well that they played earlier in the year,
right, right.
which is just crazy.
Yeah, that's our big mover and sleeper out of the East. Be sure to check out our other video where we break down our West teams. Um, yeah, we'll be ramping up more NHL talk down the stretch here as the playoffs get closer. We'll see you guys next time.